Welcome to Workout Wednesday for Power BI 2021 Week 18. Our team has decided that we have a theme for the month of May. May is made for DAX, so each workout this month will have some element of DAX that is required in the solution. This week, we're going to make a game. We're going to have a little fun, and we're going to make a game called Cat or Food, or Cat or Croissant. You may have seen the memes a while back where people put together pictures of an animal and food side by side because they look really similar and you have to try to pick out the animal. It's fun for people, but it's also used in artificial intelligence to help train algorithms. There are lots of variations of this. So you can see Shiba or marshmallow, duckling or plantain, puppy or bagel, parrot or guacamole. It went around, 5 years ago or so. We're going to use that concept to make a game in Power BI. And here's what we're going to make. We're making cat or food. So we've got some instructions. When we get to the next screen, we're going to choose all the cats as quickly as possible. So here I have my images to choose from. My status on the right will tell me if I should keep going or if I won or lost. So as I select cats, it says keep going. If I choose incorrectly, it's going to tell me I lost. Then I can reset the game and try again. And if I get them all right, I win. So that's what we're making. As for requirements, the data is coming from data.world. There's just a simple 8-row, 2-column data set that I've provided with a link to an image, and then another column called is cat. So you want to pull that data in, and then you want to add a column to the table that sets the sort order for the images so that if you refresh your data set, the order changes. So notice every time I refresh the data set in Power BI Desktop, here, the order of the cats and croissants changes. You're going to need to put the images in some kind of visual so that users can select them to play the game. And then you need to write some DAX to populate that status visual that tells you if you've won or lost or if you should keep going. Once you have a visual with that, you want to add conditional formatting to either change the background or the font color, your choice, so that as the value changes, the way that it looks changes as well. And then you want to have some way to reset the game so that people can play again. And that was my cat button down here. So if I've got stuff selected and I click the button, it'll reset it so nothing is selected. And then for this one, you're tasked with designing your own button. That reset button, you get to make it. I made mine with PowerPoint, but you can use whatever you'd like. And it can be as fancy or as simple as you'd like. Then just make sure that you have included instructions for how to play the game. And that was in my initial view of the page, so that users know how it works. And then formatting is up to you. You choose your colors, background, the number of pages you use. I have 1 page, but that's entirely up to you. I'm going to start by getting my data from data.world. And if I go look at the URL, this represents the owner. The owner is in Longoria. And the project is PBI Wow 2021 Week 18. I'm going to leave the query blank. and then I can select my table. And I'm just going to check that my data type is indeed whole number for that one and text for that, which is fine. I need to add a way to randomize the sort order here. So you may know that if you just do a list.random, you would actually get all the same value across the rows. So we need to do something special. And this could be done in DAX as well, but I prefer to do this in M. So I'm going to use this index column, and I'm actually going to change it to be starting at 1. I'm going to use that index column and reference it in a custom column. And I'm going to call this sort order. And so here's what I did. I'm generating a list of random numbers, and then I'm doing table.row count from the previous step name, whatever your step name is. I added 1 because otherwise we would get an error, and I'm referencing that index column. And when I do that, it creates this decimal number because the random number generator generates some number between 0 and 1. So now that can be my sort order. And then I don't need my index column anymore. I prefer my names to be uppercased. And I'm going to call this cat or food. And I think that's good. Now that I have my data set, I'm going to go ahead and set my page background. I am going with a dark theme there. And I'm going to make the game view first. And I'm just pasting in text to save time. But this is all just text. The cat and the croissant are just Unicode emoji values, so they're not anything fancy. And then I need to add my cats and croissants. And I did this using a custom visual. You could also make this work using a matrix, but I used the chiclet slicer, and I liked it better because I can set it to allow people to multi-select without having to hit Control. Okay, so now I have my chiclet slicer, and I'm going to go ahead and add it to the page. And I need to do a couple things. My image needs to be an image URL here. Check that isCat has some, that's fine. And then I have my sort order, which I can change to a decimal number. So now when I go to my image, I can set my sort by column to sort order. And then I can populate image there, image there, isCat there. And right now it doesn't look as nice as my finished product, so I need to go format it a bit. And as I go through these, I'm populating my alt text. I'm going to turn my header off. I don't need the word image. And then most of the formatting is going to be in the chiclet section. So I'm going to keep my 10-point font, but I'm going to make this 225 by 225 for a better fit. I'm going to change the selected color to be something a little more obvious. Unselected can stay white. And that is fine, so we can move on to images. And now we can make our images bigger by changing the split. And I forgot one thing in general because I want it to be 4 across. And right now it has the background on, and so it's white on top of gray, but I'm actually going to keep it, but make it 90% transparent. And then I'm just going to add a little shadow, and it can be outside, bottom. And that's pretty good. So now I need to make a DAX measure. And I did mine in 2 steps as 2 separate measures because I'm actually going to use the first part for my conditional formatting. So here's what I did. This is my status value measure. And first I'm getting the number of rounds, which is really just the number of rows in the table. So I have 8. This would work if we repopulated with more rows then. Then I'm checking to see how many cats are there, and that's my win number. So I'm looking at is cat that was in our data set. So for every cat picture, is cat equals 1. For every croissant picture, is cat equals -1. So I'm counting for all the rows. That's what this all thing is. Get rid of any filters based on selections. I'm counting the number of rows where it is a cat. And then I'm counting up basically what I called points based on the user's selection. So if I select a cat, that's 1 point. If I select a croissant, that is -1 point. So what I'm actually returning is this switch, which kind of works like an if statement. So I'm going to choose the first condition that is true. If the number of rows based on the user selection is the same as the total number of rows, meaning no selections have happened, then I'm returning a 0. If my total points are less than 0, it means that I've selected something wrong. If my minimum value from is cat is less than 0, I've selected something wrong, so I'm returning a -1. But if my total points, meaning the sum of the things selected, is the same as the value I got for win, meaning the number of rows with the cats, then I return 1. Otherwise, I'm returning 0. So that's my status value. And then on top of that, I just added a little more user-friendly text value. So if my status value is -1, we said we lose. And I have a little crying cat emoji. If it's 0, you keep going. And if it's 1, you win. So I'm going to add a card and put in status. And we'll fix the formatting. So just start going down the line. And I'm actually going to do some dynamic alt text here and put status in there as well. So the alt text reads exactly what the card reads. I want to change my data label. I'm going to leave it the dark colored font, but I'm going to make it fit here. So I'm making everything Sego. Actually, we'll do Sego semi-bold. I don't want the category because I don't want that status sitting underneath there. What I'm going to do is make it a title instead. And then I'll change my font color slightly and make this one Sego. And we can make it a little smaller. For the background, this is where I'm going to conditionally format. So I want it based on rules. And I'm going to do if value is, because we only have 3 options. So if it is 1, 0, or -1. And then I chose colors that I thought went with the status. So if it is 1, we're coloring it green. If it's still in progress, we're coloring it purple. And if you lost, it's kind of a red color. And that's going to be based on status value. So now we can see I win. But I still need a way to reset so that these can be unselected. So I'll show you what I did to make my buttons. I actually just used things that were available in PowerPoint. So if you go to Insert Pictures, Online Images, and leave Creative Commons on there, you can find your own cat image, cat cartoon. And this is essentially what I looked through. So you could pick any cat. I chose this one. So now I have my cat, and all I did to make my buttons was add a shape on top. I didn't end up using that one, but we can see, we'll copy this guy over here. So I inserted a rectangle, changed my shape fill. I think it's actually, yeah, that one. My shape outline is that, and I made it a little wider. There we go. And then moved it backwards so my cat is on top. And then I just added text. Oops. Reset. Make your font however you'd like. And then this little arrow here is actually just an icon. And if you scroll through, you can look through the arrows and see which ones you want to pick. I chose this, and then I rotated it and made it a specific color. So then once you have your image, select everything that's part of your image, and I'll actually do the top one, and group it. And then you can save it as a picture. So then I just insert it as an image, and that went to pictures, cat reset demo, and now it's an image. So with everything unselected here in the chiclet, I'm going to go and create a bookmark. And then I'm going to select my image, turn on the action, go to bookmark, and put it on reset. So now, if I have something selected and then I click reset, it'll go back to everything being unselected because that's part of the bookmark data. So I'm going to now add my kind of intro splash screen thing that I had. And that's going to be, I'm actually doing this all in one page. And the first thing I'm going to do is select everything I have so far, and I'm going to group it. So that's my game group. And I'm going to turn that off so I can add the other stuff. To make my start screen, I'm actually just pasting some static text and images. So I made a background image in PowerPoint. And I'm going to select that image and send it to the back so that when I select other things, I can actually see it. So this is my start. And I'm going to select my objects that are not part of the other group, and I'm going to group them and call it start. I need to, your action, if you didn't copy paste this, might be set to none. So set it to bookmark and then set the bookmark to reset. And then I need to make another bookmark, and this one's going to be called start. And then when I click in, it's going to go to reset. And so I need to update my bookmark so that it's just to this. So I'm just going to update it. So now when I flip between them, oh, wrong one. It should go start, reset. And because we set our action here, that should work too. So in my version, you never have to go back to the start page. It's just a quick intro for people who haven't seen this before. Otherwise, we stay on this page. And that's the basics. So before I publish, I make sure I have some accessibility built in, make sure my tab order is right, my alt text is populated, check my colors to make sure they're easy to read and distinguish, as well as they look good. And once it's all polished up and ready to go, you can share it with your friends and colleagues and play cat or food in Power BI. My name is Megan Longoria. Thanks for watching this solution video.